Hey everybody, Chris here from Test the Speed Shop. Just gonna do a little update here for you. I did have some footage of work we did on the Firebird and on the Coronet. As you can see, the Coronet's back. Yay. Jacked up off the ground, and it is lacking a transmission. So we pulled the transmission out of this because it started slipping on Tom when he went down to the Shades of the Past show down in Pigeon Forge in September. So it started slipping in third. So we pulled the pan on it the other day, checked it out. The fluid only had about 1,500 miles on it, and it was just all full of metal and crap laying in the bottom of the pan and stuff. So, and it was slipping in third gear. I mean, it would shift in if you drove it without hard throttle, but as soon as you got into hard throttle, it would just start to slip, or just it would go in, but it just wouldn't. It was just slipping. So we pulled the transmission out, sent it off to the transmission shop. So as soon as we get that back, we're going to be stuffing it back in. But guy's going to be putting a 2400 stall in it, and Kevlar bands and clutches and stuff. Isn't that what he was saying?
Yeah.
Gonna build it up to 500 horse or something.
Yeah, he's gonna build it up like his transmission of his dragster, which is a 904. He's gonna build it up to. He built his up to have a 500 horse. So he's gonna put the same stuff in my transmission as he put in his. Let's see what it is there. It should be a pretty good transmission when we get it back. It only had a basic build on it anyway. It was built one time and it was only basic build. So this time it's going to be an upgrade build on it.
Yeah, it had a base rebuild, and then we put a Turbo X and Cheetah valve body in it. We did that 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was a
long time ago.
We put that in.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I had the car 3 years ago.
No, I don't know. Was the 360 even in it then? It might have been.
It might have been.
Yeah.
I think the 360 was in it when we changed the valve body.
So, but we had done that, and that was a pretty good deal when we put that in, and that worked out real well. So, and the next thing is the Firebird, which isn't here. We pulled it in the other week, and he did take a video of it. I swapped the carburetor, ended up pulling the 600 off, the old double pumpers back on the shelf. Sitting here on the shelf. I gotta bag it up. But it was just too much for it. So I took the 600 vacuum secondary carb that I had, and I went ahead and put that on, and that is just 100% better. It's just night and day. I mean, it works way better. I mean, it worked good with the double pumper, but with that vacuum secondary, it's just way better. It just works a lot nicer. But we had a problem with the ignition where we would go to start it and we couldn't get it to start. So if you remember in the last video when I had installed it, we were having some trouble trying to find the 12 volts to run the ignition. So there's a black wire that came out, and that video ended with a black wire that was originally hooked up to the coil. It was the factory wire, and I had hooked that up, and I thought it had 12 volts. Well, I had checked it again, and it was only showing 8, because that wire is supposed to be resisted on the inside of the bulkhead on the dash side, and it's supposed to be resisted down to about 8 or 9. And I had read on the internet through some of the Firebird sites that it'll show 12 voltage initially until it shows a load. Like when you rev the car up and the voltage goes up, it'll show a load, and then it'll start cutting it in half. So one guy was saying that he wired his up to the pink wire that went to the turn signal flasher, because it was a spot that you got 12 volts in the run and start position of the key, because there is no ignition terminal on the fuse box like there is in my Chevy or any of the Chevys that I've owned, had that ignition terminal. Well, this Pontiac does not have that. It has a full battery terminal, and it has a terminal for that's just hot when it's running, not in start. So what I did temporarily, because I just wanted to get it wired with 12 volts, thinking that that wire at the firewall, the original wire, didn't have 12 volts. So I went ahead and I tapped into that pink wire that went to the turn signal flasher, and it ran, and it had 12 volts in the coil because I checked it with the meter. But then the problem was that when you would go to start it, it wouldn't start up right away. It would start real hard, you'd crank and crank and crank, and then finally it'd fire up. Well, it started to become a real problem. So we had to pull the front seat out because there wasn't enough room to get in there under the dash. So got in there with the meter, and we had 12 volts in the run position with the key. But when we would go to crank it, we would only get what? 12? We would only get 3 volts.
3 volts when it was cranking.
Yeah.
It would drop down to 3
Yeah, it
volts.
would drop down to 3.
And it was, we didn't have enough.
Yeah, it was like real low.
Real low spark going in them spark.
But for some reason, we couldn't figure out why, but for some reason, the damn thing, it had 12 volts when it was in the run, but it was like such a voltage drop between the run and the start, and I don't know why. Maybe because it was running through a lot of other electronics, I don't know. So we ended up tracing the wire, we ended up tracing the black wire that ran from the coil on the engine compartment. We ended up tracing that all the way back to the bulkhead, and then we chased it through the fuse box and then to the ignition switch. So when we got to the ignition switch, we found the wire that ran to it, and then we found the resistor wire. So we tapped into both of them, and they were showing 12 volts, but when you would go to crank, they would drop down to 3. So this wasn't making any sense. So we were just lost. We couldn't figure out what was going on. So we got out there and I said, we put the original wire back on that went to the coil. So we went ahead and put that wire back on and started it up. And lo and behold, it had what, like, at cranking it had like 8. It dropped because
it dropped between 9 and 8.
Yeah, because of the
crank, and then it had 12 volts.
Yeah, when it was running.
Yeah, when it was running, it was 11, almost 12 volts when it was running.
Well, it was 12 volts the other day when I checked it, because I checked it again the other day. But we ended up evidently I wasn't had a good ground on it, because I was just holding the lead of the damn meter against the ground, and I wasn't had a good ground. But I ended up finding the alligator clip so that we could alligator clip everything on. But he ended up getting 12 volts from that black wire I initially put on in that last video. We ended up getting the right voltage. But I don't understand how that has 12 volts, because that's supposed to be resisted.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure out how the points worked and never burned up.
Should have been resisted.
So I don't know. So that's how it's hooked up now. It has 12 volts. I checked it the other day, revved it up. It was sitting there idling with 12.1. At idle, if I rev it up, it goes to 13.5. I mean, it's got plenty of voltage running right to that coil and to the Protronics unit.
And it doesn't drop very much to start?
No, it doesn't drop very much at all to start. It works good.
Right up.
So that's where we're at with that. So that's the update. That's what got messed up. I did the video on that, and for some reason this camera, if you touch the screen over too far, it'll turn the microphone off. So it turned the microphone off for all that. So that's why we're doing this update. So now that you've listened to us gab for about 10 minutes, I think I'll cold start the Chevelle for you, because I want to start it up a little bit, get the juices flowing on it.
Yeah, you haven't cranked that thing in a while.
No, we need to do that. So we're going to fire it up, and you're going to get a cold start for 10 minutes of us bullshitting about our junk.
Such a hater.
Well, I was implying both of them. Oh yeah, Tom's got his insulation he wants to put on the floor because it's...
Yeah, I have no insulation on my floor in my car. When I put a new floor in this car, I forgot to put sound and insulation in on this car. So I don't know if Chris is going to help me I gotta take the interior apart in this thing, and while my transmission is being worked on, I'm gonna put the insulation on that floor so it'll be a little bit more comfortable in the summer, because I don't have, my car is a non-air, so I don't have AC in this car, so it's a little warm during the summertime without some, and the heat from the exhaust and all that coming up through that floor, it'll get you pretty hot a little bit, especially if you're going on a long drive. But, so I brought the insulation, and we're gonna put that in.
Yeah, it's laid over
It's laying
next
over
to the
by
Chevy
the-
over there. Silver
Silver stuff.
laying on the
It's,
floor.
sound deadening and heat insulation, so it should be good for that.
I get to work on a mopar again.
That's right. I have my dry shaft. I'm taking my dry shaft tomorrow over to a place called, what's that place called? Mashar?
Oh, Mashar drivetrain.
Yeah.
Over in
Taking,
Harrisburg.
taking my dry shaft over and getting it rebalanced and new yokes put in it. So it should, that should come out nice. Because I had a lot of misbalancing issues on this car. So first thing was the flex plate on this car was way out of balance, and it caused some issues on my a lot of vibration. That probably what tore up my transmission this first time when I had to have it resealed. It tore the bushing and the seal out the front of the transmission, and I had to have the transmission resealed, have new bushing put in it and stuff. I should have had the transmission rebuilt then, but I didn't. I was coming back from Tennessee when that happened. Blew the front seal out of it. Come to find out that
Yeah, he doesn't have good luck when he goes to Tennessee for some strange
seems
reason.
like every time I go to that show.
Something bad happens.
Yeah.
Front timing cover seal starts leaking, and that turned into a freaking engine rebuild.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
And-
Jesus.
So it seems like every time I went to Tennessee and back, I was always having something going on. But I had the transmission resealed, and then come to find out the flex plate was out of balance, and we were kind of thinking that's what took the spun the number 6 rod bearing and all that. We don't know what happened to that. There was a lot of unbalancing problems that we come across. I had to put a new harmonic balance on it because it started coming apart, and then it just kind of cascaded from there.
Should have bought a Chevy. Should have bought a GM. Or dare I say, should have bought a Ford. No, we haven't had any Fords in here.
No, we've
Never had any Fords in here.
Never had a Ford.
We never worked on any Fords.
No.
No, we had an Oldsmobile, the Pontiac,
Pontiac. We've done
Artie's car. We've had the Dodge. We've had the Plymouth, the Cuda, and the Challenger. This is that we worked on that stuff before we had a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But that stuff might come back, but it hasn't as of
Yeah,
lately. And we had the Dart. We had the Dart.
Put seats in.
Yeah, that's another one that wasn't in any of the YouTube videos. That was before the channel. Yeah, so no, we've never had a Ford.
No. Never had the.
Interesting. Or an AMC.
No.
Never had an AMC. We don't even know anybody with an AMC.
We don't.
Huh. Well, at any rate, I'm going to get the Chevelle ready to start, and we'll be back with you here in a minute.
Uh-huh. but she was being finicky.
Yeah, she didn't want to go.
She didn't want to go.
Being bitchy. Cold-blooded.
Yeah,
Where she is. She's running. She hasn't run in a while. Well, that's our cold start. Car does not have a choke. My foot's the choke. So, all right. So, we're gonna let this thing warm up here for a few. Maybe take it for a ride. Maybe take you along. So, we'll get back to you. Well, here we are. We're driving around a little bit, getting into some wonderful Sunday traffic. Car's running good. Oh, this is, look at this shit. Dude.
Oh my God.
What in the hell? Oh, for Christ's sakes. Are you kidding me?
He's got a bed frame up there.
Yeah, we're just gonna hang right back here. Freaking can't fix stupid.
Here we go.
Awesome. Nice windy day today too.
Yeah, real windy.
Ah,
Really windy in that thing.
it's a box spring.
Yeah, that's even
Teetering on the frame.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Got a Saturn.
Yeah. I know all about that. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Classic.
Hopefully you gotta go far.
I know.
I don't think they're gonna make it.
I don't think they are either. They just rolled in behind us.
Oh,
They're getting
man.
off the exit. That's classic. Yeah, at least they're behind us and not in front of us. It felt good to get this thing out and get some exercise.
Yeah, it needs to run. It's been running good.
Yeah, we actually had a decent day here today so that we could actually get it out and run it around a little bit. So, plus I haven't been showing it very much love. Just been showing the freaking Firebird love.
Get it out.
That's alright.
Get it a quick fix.
Quick Firebird fix.
Yeah, if you want to do a quick Firebird fix.
Nah, I feel like being lazy today. I don't want to shift. Today's the lazy day.
Also, go check it on your car.
It's still sitting there.
It's all stuff. It likes that garage. It's a perfect fit.
Yeah, it fits in that garage too.
Yeah, you can actually walk around. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, everybody's getting their stuff out.
Some hot rods out today. Don't know if we got it on camera or not, but
It's pretty cool.
should probably give this to Tom and let him film. Let him film things instead of me trying to hold it and drive.
I love a little rat rod.
It's probably not the most ideal situation.
That was in the neighborhood.
No, there's a lot of stuff around here.
Should come up to the garage.
Probably don't even know we're there because we're down the back alley.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes this video. We're going to head back, park the old Chevy, and that's going to be pretty much it. So,